So here we are in Maaloula, one of only two places I believe left in the world that still speaks Aramaic, which is the language of Jesus. And so this area fell under terrorist control during the Syrian civil war. And so we're visiting a couple of the churches here.
Above sea level. Here they still speak Aramaic. The monastery here, I don't know if you know the story of Saint Thecla. Saint Thecla, she was in the from the Roman Empire, let's say, and her father was the prince of one of the provinces they had in near Turkey, in Antakya. She was engaged to her cousin, but at her 18 years old, she discovered she didn't want to get married and she wanted to enter to Christianity because she met St. Paul back then and told her about this religion. So her father didn't allow her, so she escaped and he sent his troops after her. So the story tells that when she arrived here, we are going to see the mountain. I will tell you the story in the mountain. She came through the mountains and settled in this area. And she had she's a saint because she has the miracle to cure people. And the people of this town, the story tells that they respected her a lot. Okay? So, and she stayed in the cave we are going to see. But the monastery as a monastery is like, was built at 1935. Not that old. Okay? But before that, there was a church at 1906 that was built near to the cave where she used to pray. Okay? This monastery, the nuns of this monastery have been kidnapped by Jabhat al-Nusra during war for like 4 or 5 months, and they took them to Lebanon through the borders, of course illegally, and there was a reconciliation or like a mediation for them to be released. Of course, in return, the government needed to release some of the people or the fighters of ISIS and Jabhat al-Nusra. Okay, not here in Safir Hotel, the other church. We are going to show you. They are always showing a video about how it was destroyed and how it was rebuilt. Okay. Also, we are going to see this hotel. You can see from here. It's where Jabhat al-Nusra located, and that's why it was very difficult for the army to liberate this area in a short time. You know, we are going to see the destruction that happened in this area. Of course, when the army first entered here, it was 75% destroyed. They rebuilt a lot afterward. Okay, so it lasts only for 1 year for this area because it's a very strategic area. That's why they tried to liberate it very quickly. Okay, let's go in.
Is there still a group of nuns who live here now?
Yes, the same nuns. They came back and they are here.
Okay.
So here we are walking into the St. Thecla Monastery in Maaloula, Syria. This monastery was taken over by an Al-Qaeda-backed terrorist group in 2013, and you can see here that they had chiseled the faces off of this image of Jesus and Mary because they didn't believe that there should be images of anyone. And so others here have been restored, but this one was left as it was as a reminder of the damage that this group inflicted on this area. As we head inside here, we are about to meet several nuns who were kidnapped by the terrorist group that took over the city. In total, 12 nuns were taken to Lebanon by the terrorist group, and they were not released until 2014 through a prisoner exchange with the government. Of all the places we visited in Syria, I would have to say this was the most peaceful and tranquil that we visited. The two nuns that we're going to see here in just a second, one of them is making bracelets, and the other one is selling the bracelets inside this inner room that we're about to walk into. And they were both incredibly kind, incredibly sweet. And I ended up getting a few of these bracelets for my fiance. So here we are walking to the Grotto of St. Thecla. We are heading up to the top of the mountain here to see the Safir Hotel, which at one point was one of the most luxurious hotels in the area until the city was overtaken by terrorists in 2013. The hotel ended up being completely destroyed, and we're going to get to walk into it here in a few minutes. So digging a little deeper into St. Thecla, most of what we know about this woman comes from the apocryphal Acts of Paul and Thecla. And so in this book, a young virgin from Iconium chooses to leave her fiancé so she could convert to Christianity and follow Paul. She faces a number of hardships and obstacles and manages to escape from those. And many believe that she ended up here in Maaloula and lived out the rest of her life. She is also venerated by the Catholic Church, the Eastern Orthodox Church, the Oriental Orthodox Church, and then the Episcopal Church. So we fast forwarded slightly through the rest of the grotto and also through lunch. We stopped at a small restaurant that before the terrorists took over the city in 2013, the restaurant was just slammed with tons of business all year round. But now the guy who owns the restaurant is lucky to get a handful of people in a week. We have almost made it to the top of the mountain. We are going to see right here on the left, once we go around this last building, the ruins of the Safir Hotel that was destroyed during the Battle of Maaloula. And this hotel was used as a headquarters by both sides, but lastly by the Syrian army as they were clearing the city of the last few rebel terrorist groups that were here. And you'll notice that as we look around, just all of the buildings are completely destroyed here. These are the steps leading up to the main entrance of the Safir Hotel. We're going to take a quick detour here off to the left to see an ancient pagan temple that was here on top of this mountain before we head deeper inside of this hotel.
In Maaloula, especially, we have the Hellenistic area, which was before the Roman. It was for the Greek and also, as I told you, some Arab tribes. We have the Aramaic also. So we believe this used to be a temple for one of the gods. Okay? Because we have a lot of things. As you can see here, we have an eagle. So we have eagle, lion, and sun were the symbols of Syria. Because Syria means the sun, which we can see here. Yes, you know. Again, we can see the eagle up here also.
And this is Greek, right?
Yes. So we believe, because we don't have anything documented, as I said, it used to be a temple for the gods, then it became a church because we have this and we have the cross. As you can see. It's big. Again, and so we have the eagle here, which is also a symbol for Syria and the gods of Syria. And according according to archaeologists, that these are used for the corbans, or like for gods, when you sacrifice things for God. So they will hang what they are sacrificing, and it appears like the blood will come to this part where it will go into the mountain. Here, as in all temples, back where this is an app for the statue of the god they are worshipping.
Visiting war-torn places always has an eerie feeling. As we're walking up the steps here, I just envision what it would have been like roughly a decade and a half, 2 decades ago, when you have valet pickup here, families coming to spend a relaxing weekend or week away from their hectic lives back in the city. And then now all you have is the shell of a building and a town that's just been ransacked by war. Behind us, we've got the check-in counter and the books that hold the names of some of the last guests that had checked in to this hotel. Here you've got just information on the hotel itself, and it's just the way it was in this booklet the day the last guest checked in. On the opposite side of this tunnel, we have the garden area of the Safir Hotel. And I remember reading an article from the LA Times, I believe it was around 2018, maybe 2017, and they were writing about the commanders of the Syrian army that were here overlooking the town below, and they were giving instructions to their soldiers to clear out or where to go for the remaining terrorists that were here in the city. And so it's such an odd feeling being here, especially after reading that article and knowing this is where the commanders stood as they were giving instructions to their soldiers below of where to go to next to free this city. There's just an eerie feeling of being here. Like it just feels a little, I don't know if creepy is the right word, but just eerie.